On February 19, 1807, Aaron Burr is arrested for treason in Alabama. Aaron Burr was born in Newark, New Jersey in 1756. He studied at Princeton and later at Litchfield Law School in Connecticut. During the American Revolutionary War, the young Burr served under Colonial General Richard Montgomery and received a congressional commendation for bravery in action. After the war, Burr practiced law in Albany, New York, and then in New York City. He was outspoken in his defense of a free press and was, in fact, ahead of his time in many of his political views. First off, Burr was an early abolitionist. He also fought for electoral representation for all citizens, not just property owners. Additionally, Burr defended the rights of immigrants and was also ahead of his time when it came to women's rights. He promoted the ideas of British feminist Mary Wollstonecraft, who wrote an important book in the late 18th century called A Vindication of the Rights of Women. Wollstonecraft, incidentally, was also the mother of Frankenstein author Mary Shelley. Burr even introduced a bill at the New York State Assembly that would have granted women the right to vote in the state. Of course, that bill doesn't get very far, but Burr deserves credit for being the one behind it. However, Burr and fellow Revolutionary War veteran and politician Alexander Hamilton developed an intense rivalry. The two did not see eye to eye, mainly because Hamilton distrusted Burr. Hamilton saw Burr not as an ideologist, but as an unprincipled political opportunist who, Hamilton believed, would shift his views and allegiances at any time to advance his career. Hamilton famously used his influence to make sure Jefferson, not Burr, became president in the election of 1800. Burr became Jefferson's vice president. Jefferson, however, chose a new running mate in 1804, so Burr ran for governor of New York. Hamilton, also a New Yorker, used his influence against Burr again, and he lost by a wide margin. Burr was furious. The two exchanged a series of fiery letters that became increasingly intense. Their feud eventually culminated in a famous 1804 duel where Vice President Burr shot and killed former U.S. Treasury Secretary Hamilton. Notably, after the duel, Burr expected a hero's welcome for defending his honor. Instead, he faced public outcry. He fled to Georgia to a friend's plantation. He was charged with murder in both New York and New Jersey, but neither charge reached trial. He then returned to Washington, D.C. to finish his term as vice president, which ended in March 1805. Burr's role in Hamilton's death, however, effectively ended his political career. Burr then traveled to New Orleans and met with U.S. General James Wilkinson, an agent of Spain, and together they hatched a plot. Their exact plan is unknown, but it is speculated that they were hoping to seize U.S. and/or Spanish territory and establish an independent republic. Burr led a well-armed group of settlers toward New Orleans in 1806, prompting an immediate investigation by U.S. authorities. General Wilkinson panicked and turned on Burr, sending dispatches accusing him of treason. Burr was arrested in Wakefield, Alabama, and sent to Virginia for trial. He was acquitted, mainly because it was determined that he had not engaged in an overt act, a requirement for treason specified in the U.S. Constitution. The public, however, still saw Burr as a traitor, so he moved to Europe for a time, but he eventually returned to New York and died on Staten Island in 1836 at age 80. Any Burr contributions to the founding of the United States are forever overshadowed by the duel. In Lin-Manuel Miranda's musical Hamilton, Burr's character, originally played brilliantly by Tony winner Leslie Odom Jr., sings, "History obliterates in every picture it paints. It paints me and all my mistakes. When Alexander aimed at the sky, he may have been the first one to die, but I'm the one who paid for it. I survived, but I paid for it. Now I'm the villain in your history." Hamilton's complicated legacy, on the other hand, has been positively restored thanks to the vast writings he left behind and, of course, the hit musical Hamilton. Unfortunately for Burr, no such comeback is likely to occur, in large part because only 2 small volumes of his writings were left behind, with most of his personal writings lost in an 1803 shipwreck. It is difficult, therefore, to know what Burr really thought about things. We'll probably never know whether Hamilton's judgments of his character were accurate or not. Those lost writings may have painted a very different picture of Aaron Burr. Here are other events that happened today in history. In 1473, Copernicus, the first modern European to propose the heliocentric theory, is born in Poland. In 1787, German-English astronomer William Herschel's 40-foot telescope is used for the first time. In 1878, Thomas Edison patents the phonograph, the first device to both record and play back sound. In 1942, FDR signs Executive Order 9066, authorizing the internment of Japanese Americans. In 1945, U.S. Marines invade the Japanese island of Iwo Jima in one of World War II's most brutal battles. In 1980, AC/DC lead singer Bon Scott dies at the age of 33 after a night of excessive drinking. In 2020, China expels Wall Street Journal reporters because of an op-ed criticizing its handling of the coronavirus. And now, it's time for our Today in History quiz. Which famous 20th century photographer is most associated with landscape photography of the American West? Dorothea Lange, William Eggleston, Imogen Cunningham, or Ansel Adams? Think you know the answer? Drop your guesses in the comments below. Find out if you're right tomorrow on Today in History.